We have breaking news. For the first time since 2021, the federal Liberals are leading against the Conservatives. They have overturned a 26-point deficit. New polling done exclusively for Global News shows the Liberals in first place among decided voters at 38%, and the Conservatives trailing behind by 2 points at 36%. For more on this, we're joined by Darrell Bricker, CEO of Ipsos Polling. Thank you for joining us today, Darrell. Now, this obviously comes after a series of events from both sides of the border. What are some of the factors impacting the huge change?
I think there's two things, and either one of them just by themselves probably wouldn't be causing this. The two things are the Liberal leadership is changing. Justin Trudeau has left, and there's going to be a new leader of the Liberal Party, and I think people are interested in seeing who that's going to be. And then the second thing is the threat from south of the border has moved us off of litigating whatever the Liberals did over the last 10 years to the here and now, which is dealing with the United States.
This data really touches on demographics and regions. How does that the results of this really break down in terms of that? Is it certain groups that are making these changes?
Where we've seen the biggest movements are in central Canada. So in the province of Quebec and also Atlantic Canada, by the way, it's Atlantic Canada, Quebec, and in the province of Ontario, where the Liberals and Conservatives are very close, but they haven't been close for quite a long time. So it's basically everywhere west of the or east of the Ontario-Manitoba border that seems to be looking at the Liberals more. The Conservatives are still looking pretty good in Western Canada.
It's interesting because we have had some recent elections provincially and seen both a Liberal and a Conservative outcome from those. Do you think that provincial and federal politics interact in that way and we see some changes?
Not so much. I think people are really separating them in their minds. I mean, it's interesting. People think that what's going on in Ontario right now is something about free trade with the United States and Doug Ford being able to deal with Donald Trump. But when we look at the issues and Global News is polling, free trade doesn't rank that high in terms of what's going on in the provincial election. At the federal level, it's quite a different thing, and people know that they're parties and different leaders.
And what does that polling show in terms of an appetite for a federal election to come?
The highest we've seen it in a very long time. When we started looking at this for Global News back around just before Justin Trudeau left, there really wasn't much of an appetite for an election. Now there's overwhelming appetite for an election. 86% of Canadians say they want to have an election to put in place a government to deal with what's going on south of the border, and almost half of us are saying they want it done immediately.
Did this look like a shock change that we wouldn't see continue polling that way, or does this seem like an increase that might continue?
Well, it's really hard to say. When things get unstable, you really don't know necessarily where they're going to settle down. But I think that the Liberals are having a really good role at the moment. It's very difficult for the Conservatives to break through in this type of an environment because people are focused on what's going on in terms of our relationship with the United States, and that's something that really the government carries. But also, party leadership campaigns always attract attention. And we do typically see this type of change in party prospects. So there's nothing really for the Conservatives to do in that context. So they're going to have to find a way to punch through all of this and get their message back out there to Canadians, or it will just continue as it is.
Well, definitely a very big change we're seeing today. Thank you very much, Darrell Bricker from Ipsos Polling, our CEO. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.